We have two literal support gods in this Hall of Forms and a lot to talk about. There's some fun stuff you can do with all of these units. I need to know in the comments, who are you most excited about getting to play with? But let's dive right in and talk about Thorr.
Onward!
Yes, dear.
The key things I want you to look at are first the preference things. Divine Whimsy and World Breaker are both things that you can get rid of. These aren't must-haves. The duo skill is what makes this unit, and cleansing bonuses, and that's just nuts. Seriously. Right now in the meta, so much hinges on your bonuses. Just look at Black Knight. This is a big thing. We'll talk about him in just a second. But the other thing I really want you to focus in on is what the stats are like. This is low HP, which we'll talk about in a second, and high attack, high res. So this unit plays very well into a lot of the support skills we have right now that really hinge on high res. Let's just briefly go over Divine Whimsy and the duo skill though. So Divine Whimsy, at start of turn, you get exposure and stall. And this is important because at start of turn, things can be cleansed. So this isn't quite as powerful as it once was. The duo skill with the gravity, which is okay, and the neutralizing bonuses, we just talked about it, but that is where this thing is at. Let's talk about builds though. I want to jump right into it. And the first one I want to get to is support. And I have some explaining to do here. So I have attack, defense, res here, and the thing that you're probably asking is, why am I trying to get exposure on units that already have it because this unit inflicted it there? Again, it's all about cleansing. We have so many ways to do that now that mid-turn effects are just insanely powerful. Pairing this unit with Micaiah lets you swap and have another action as well, and that is that's very, very good. You're also getting to cleanse penalties off of any unit that you do this to. As far as the other things, I'm probably going to suggest attack res crux on. It's the main thing that I would like to get out of this unit, so keep that in mind. The nuke build is, in case you want to do something crazy, that's really what this is here for. I don't know that I would suggest this unit as a nuke. The problem is this unit was built to do AoE damage, and we are in a meta that no longer really rewards that. I do think this is interesting. Attack res far sound does require a lot of HP though, and you notice I have the 20 flowers and all plus 10 merges and an HP boon, and then I get to 51. So there's other ways you can do this. Like for instance, I have attack res catch there. Clearly I should have put the HP attack res skill, and that would have boosted the HP as well. But know that you really want to get to that 51, and that helps a ton. Ice Wall with 46 res, it's respectable and it's something you can do, but this is a respectable nuke. It's just not something that you really want to rely on, and you've had to allot a lot of resources to that. The max invest build is if you want to just go all out, and I'm really trying to stack up res to play into what attack res havoc does. And keep in mind that not only debuffs the enemy, but you also get true damage based off of your res. So this is kind of a nice cohesive unit, along with Arcane Medusa, that gives you additional true damage and preempt pulse to help you out with Frost Moon. As far as the Echo skill, I think Crux Echo is the best one for her, and here's the reason. I do like some form of guidance in the sea, but depending on your team, you might need something that helps out armors as opposed to flyers. In other words, guidance instead of soaring guidance. This gives you that flexibility, whereas if you flop that and have soaring echo, you have attack res crux and possibly some other C skill. There are some fun ones right now. Silence Ward would probably be my preference, but that is not available in this batch for Hall of Forms. If you wanted to go all out though, I think this is an excellent build for Thorr. As far as Loki approved garb, I have my Crom underwear right here with a nice Mark of the Exalt on the butt. We have a ton of Emblem Undies that you can buy in the store. The link is right up above me and in the comments. Go check that out. If you're looking at the skills you're going to be trying to get, the priority here is going to be the B and C skill. Flyers have excellent supportive C skills, and The B skills, when I look at this, it's really either Attack Res Havoc or one of the Detect skills, or one of the Link skills would work as well. Resound is something you can do if you want to do the nuke build, but I would advise against it. The A skill is really dealer's choice. I will say if you want to stack up Res, Crystal and Water is just the absolute best. Ymir is also good. I will warn against Attack Speed Mastery. I do have it up here, but the warning is, if you're like me, I always forget that you have to attack in order for the Canto to actually take effect. That is tough to do on a unit as supportive as this one. Stronghold is the other one, but my preference probably is still Crystal and Water over there. If you wound up getting any of these A skills, I think you're going to be just fine. As for the C skills, we talked about the guidances. It really depends on your team there. If you have a pure flyer-based team, Air Orders is quite good. And then you have the Crux skill. I am a huge fan of this right now because of the lack of null follow-up on the heavy tanks in the meta right now. But again, it depends on your team. The Shadow skills, Shadow Smite and Shadow Shift could also be good depending on what you're trying to do with this unit. Breath of Life is always solid for a support, and Deadly Miasma is there, but it's probably my least favorite. As far as the specials, Frost Moon, Ice Wall, for what this unit is going to do, you probably don't care too much. I would prefer Frost Moon. I think it is the better skill for her, but Ice Wall's fine, and there are many cases where you would just want Astra or even just go back to her Blazing Flame or some other AoE. If you're asking me what I'm going for, it is definitely this build with Stronghold, Attack Res Detect, and Attack Res Crux. I think this is excellent and can do a lot of good, especially versus those pesky Black Knights in Arena Assault. The case being that you cleanse all of his buffs and then apply exposure on him to help one of your teammates just absolutely obliterate him because, as we know, when his season comes around, you're going to hit 6 of him every single time.
Life is delicate.
Ymir is one of the rare cases we see where both the preference weapon and preference skill are still very usable. And I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite units to use right now. In Aether Raids, this is my absolute savior, and I try to get her on every possible team I can. Let's talk a little bit about what the skill and preference weapon do. So I'm going to cut this down into the kind of the pieces that you really want to pay attention to. And the fact that on an assist or a rally, you get 10 HP and neutralizes penalties is a really, really big deal. Then you have Ever Living Domain, which gives a miracle effect, and we'll pay attention a little bit to that grants defense and res +4. This is really, really nice. The miracle is for the nukes right now. What's going on is they're just made like glass cannons, and this is a unit that can really help mitigate a lot of that pain. But we recently got an interesting power-up. Let's talk about these builds. So first up, we have just the stock melee nuke build. This is if you already have everything else and you are a huge Ymir fan. You're going to go in there with Ymir. That really would be Astra, not Dragonflame. But then Momentum, Shadow Smite 4, and Blade Sessions. This is not going to be an elite nuke. But if you are so inclined, this is something that can be fun to use. As far as the Support 1, really the Support 1 and Support 2, I want to point out the main difference between these, which is the Link skill versus the Detect skill. My preference is the Detect skill, but depending on your team, the additional true damage from the Link 4 skills is very good. And the fact that it's attack speed Link and the unit can all then give out attack defense Link 3, and you're getting almost a spectrum of buffs right there, which is very, very nice. Past that, anything I give her is generally trying to just keep her alive in case, something goes awry and someone gets around and tries to smack her. But this unit is not a bulky unit, so, if a Camilla comes screaming through your front line, she's just not going to make it. Still, though, these are things that can help you versus stray dancers, for instance, or something like that. If we look at the skill prioritization, really the A skill is whatever you would like, and this is not a priority. It's not something that I would hold out if you're trying to build this and another unit. I would take whatever you get and move along. My preference is that Stronghold skill, but Also, attack, res, scowl is something you can absolutely do, and the boost skills are good there too. The B skill is when things really get important, and it's to the point where if you just got your preference, whether it's detect or link, and nothing else, this unit would still be worth a Forma. It's that good just with Ever-Living Domain and Ever-Living Breath. So understand that that's really what you want to focus in on. And if you're trying to build both this unit and Thor, which I know some folks are, you could go in, make sure you get the correct B skill, go to Thor, completely kit her out, and then come back, and whatever you get on this unit is great. As far as the C skills, you're most likely going to be using Ever-Living Domain. That's just the way it is. I would probably lean more towards Barricade and Res Wave D, just because those are two very rare skills and they are useful at times. But there are some fun things to have with the shadow skills, the Shadow Smite, Shadow Shift, and of course Breath of Life is always good, but I'd rather have Miracle. Anyway, the specials. You'll see a theme here throughout this whole thing. Dragon Flame and Ice Wall are both very rare. On this one though, I think it's very clear that you would rather have Dragon Flame. Dragon Flame helps a lot with this unit's defenses, where Ice Wall doesn't as much. This unit does have a little more defense than Res, but it's not significant enough for you to worry about it too much. But again, this unit doesn't hinge on the special. Really focus on those B skills. As far as my suggested build, this is actually the build that I run with this unit short of Dragon Flame. So understand that I'm already doing this and this unit is doing a lot of good for me. I would highly recommend this. And again, this is one of my favorite supports right now.
Nightmare upon you.
In case you foddered all of your Freyjas away for the Fatal Smoke 3 base fodder, now you can pick her up in the Hall of Forms with the amazingly cute Freyr Stuffy. So, let's look at the skills. Brightmare Horn is just okay. And it looks like so much text on there, and it boils down to not much. Pierceable DR, Half Null Follow-Up, Beast Transform. It's not great. And then we have Binding Necklace, which is Omni plus 2. It's just fantastic. 2. Bonus Inversion isn't bad, but Binding Necklace as a whole just needs to be replaced. Let's look at some build ideas, and I've got 2 of them here. The first is the nuke build, and I've got Fierce Beast on here, but understand that is set up to where if you wanted to run an AoE, you need some additional cooldown. I think you need 1 in the S skill, but that's something you can pull off, so that's not hard whether you're getting that on this unit or from someone else. But still, if you're trying to nuke things right now, I think Fierce Beast is pretty nice and definitely a rare skill to get. Momentum is what this really hinges on. As far as the Nuke 2 build goes on, I really just try to throw as many beast skills on here. I want to point out something important before we get to the individual skills that you're prioritizing, and that's that you want some way to keep this unit transformed. That's very, very important. So whether that's in the B skill with Bestial Agility or in the A skill with the Fortune skills, I think that is a priority on these calves. But the big thing you're waiting for is a good Refine or a good Arcane skill. The last one we got for calves, the last Arcane skill, was 2 years ago on Aether, and it has aged a lot to the point where I'm not even really suggesting you go out and get it. It is an improvement over Brighthorn, but it's not something that I am just real excited about. I don't know why they have been holding back on the Arcane Beast skills and why they've been limiting them so much, but they absolutely have. But the thing you want to pay attention to is Nuke 1 is all about special spamming, Nuke 2 is all about true damage. Let's look at the skills. So we talked about the real priority here is making sure that this unit stays transformed. So Fortune or any of the Beast B skills. That being said, I do the Sly Swift Sparrow and Attack Speed Fortune is probably my 2 favorites there. Attack Speed Prime is interesting and usable if you're using this unit in a PvE type mode. It's not going to be real useful in the meta. I have Attack Speed Wild up there, The problem is, most of the time, you'd really rather these other skills. That is more of a Gale Force type skill, and right now, if you're running Gale Force, you are using units that have extra actions just built into their preference skill or preference weapon. Gale Force itself, as a special, has never been lower than right now. In the entire history of the game, you really need that extra damage from your special, and there are so many units that can get extra actions. If you're prioritizing what's most important, I think those B skills are where it's at in Bestial Agility or Momentum. Those are the two that I'm gonna suggest here. The C skills, I like Attack Speed Hone because it gives you the most stats. I liked Preempt Screech because it is neat. The problem with Preempt Screech is it's not giving you a lot of extra combat, and you've really got to cram as much as you possibly can out of this unit. It makes things difficult. Other options you can look at, you've got the shadow skills that we've been talking about this entire episode. Barricade is nice, and you even got Beast Threaten, which is okay. If that pops up, then that's good. The two specials, Nimble Beast if you want to double down on speed, Fierce Beast if you want to double down on attack. Those are two excellent choices. If you're asking what I'm going to be going for, really I like the Bestial Agility. I think that is an excellent B skill, and I think that plays really well into that Sly Swiss Sparrow. This is a fun build, but remember you're really waiting for that arcane weapon or a good refine.
To the icy depths.
Nifl is up next, and if you remember, the big thing this unit hinged on was the sweep effect. This was high attack, high speed. The problem is no counter disrupt in the meta has really increased. They're starting to just hand it out on C skills, which is absolutely nuts. If we look at the Chilled Breath and Domain of Ice, I know I just said how prevalent Null C Disrupt is. I still think that Chilled Breath is worth keeping just because of that. This isn't going to be a primary nuke, but this unit was never set up that way. As a secondary nuke, I still think this unit can do a lot of good, but Domain of Ice is trash. Just toss that sucker. We have so much piercing in the meta that this does just absolutely nothing. Let's look at the two builds here. I have an AoE nuke, which really doubles down on Momentum and Blazing Flame, and then, the Verge of Death, Life of Death combo, and then the Max Invest build. And this is very expensive right now. Edge Scales is on 1 unit. Sly Echo is on 1 unit. At least Arcane Fell Arts you can get at the same time as Edge Scales, but Attack Speed Hone is on a completely different unit. So there is a lot of resources going into this unit in order to make this build. But if you're a Nifl fan, this is probably the way you're going to want to go, including the Arcane Fell Arts. The big thing that I want you to see that I did with this build was double down on true damage. You're getting 15% of attack on Arcane Fell Arts. You're getting 5 from Sly Swiss Sparrow. You're getting 15% of attack from Edge Scales. And you're getting, I forget the percentage on Dragon's Wrath, and then Sly Echo. Everything in here is trying to get more true damage, and that is an interesting way to use this unit, and we've talked about it over and over, but true damage is the way you're killing things right now. So I think if you really want to use this unit, this is a good way you can get her into the meta right now. If we're looking at skills, there are some interesting things. My preference here would probably be Sly Swiss Sparrow, but understand Verge of Death if you're going for super AoE. That is definitely the way to go. As far as B skills, Edge Scales is just... It's probably my favorite one for her, but Momentum is also a good one, and it's still only on 1 unit in Emblem Sigurd, which is crazy to me. As far as the C skills, Attack Speed and Sight Hone is excellent for what this unit wants to do. It gives you visible attack speed, and it gives you in-combat attack speed, and it gives you insight. That's all very good. Alternately, you could do the Shadow skills, you could do Res Wave D, and you could have Barricade. All of those are nice, but I don't think they play into what this unit wants to do quite as well as Attack Speed, Insight, Hone. The two specials I've got listed here are Dragon Flame and Ice Wall. Both of these hinge on defense and res, respectively, and this unit doesn't have very high defense and res. Like on this, on the Melee Nuke 2 build, you have 32 and 30. It's okay, but you're really probably going more towards Astra or an AoE. So all that is to say, if you're prioritizing here, I think that is the least important thing. The most important thing is going to be that B skill, and you would really like attack speed and sight hone. On the A skill, listen, in order to make this unit work, you're going to need all the help you can get. So I would prioritize A, B, and C, and then just the special comes if it comes. As far as my suggestion, I'm going to say if you want to use Nifl, you've kind of got to go all out. And that's where we're at. This unit could get a really good refine. I forget where we are in that, but I believe it's a ways off. So I think you have some time to wait. But if you're a fan, you know how favorites work. So I think this is a good way to use this unit right now. If you are budgeting your Formas, here's the upcoming list. Medius and Celica are as close to as confirmed as possible. I understand IS changes things a lot. Speculated right now is Deirdre in October, and she just got a refine and is interesting. I do like Medius a lot. We'll talk about him once we get there. If you're curious about my top 5 worst units from the last year, I have a link to that video. Go check that out. Members, thank you for all that you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.